The tail of the tape brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
All right, take a look at this. You know, the first thing that's going to jump off the page is just simply the record. Somebody's O, as they love to say, Sean, and I'm no different. Somebody's O has got to go.
Did you just do that yourself? You just
I did not make that up. I cannot take credit for that.
Our night begins with Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. As tonight, Miller Lite presents Bellator MMA. For those joining us around the world live on the Bellator MMA global app, we welcome you to WinStar World Casino and Resort as we kick off the action now with 3 5-minute rounds in the welterweight division. Introducing the blue corner first. At 6 foot, weighing in 169.7 pounds. His professional record early on stands undefeated at 1-0. He fights out of Wichita, Kansas, presenting Tyler Ingram. And across the cage is adversary, fighting out of the red corner. At 5'11", weighing in 170.7 pounds. His professional record early on, undefeated as well. He brings 3 wins, no defeats. Originally from Mexico, he fights out of San Jose, California. Introducing Fernando Gonzalez. In charge of the action, your referee, Gerald.
On my cue, gentlemen. Fighter, fight!
The fight clock brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories. Now, Fernando Gonzalez in the red gloves out of AKA. One of the things these two have are very different, the pedigree. All 3 fight for Fernando Gonzalez under the Bellator umbrella. Again, AKA has produced some big-time fighters in the sport. His reputation precedes itself, and that's, you talk about being an underdog, and Tyler Ingram knows he is one going into this fight very early in his career.
Yeah, I was in the workout room last night catching my own exercises, and Tyler was working out. He was doing some kickboxing stuff, and I even had to sit and ask his coach, hey, what are you doing there? They showed me he looked great was my point, and then they informed me, yeah, he's not even a kickboxer as much as he is a wrestler. But right now I'm seeing he's not quite finding that wrestling range. Gonzalez is starting this with some pretty good combinations.
When you see fighters for the first time, in the first minute you see them, what's the first thing you're looking for?
I'm looking for their ability to control range. Can they step into distance? I see so many fighters come out, and their movement's good, and their positions look good, and you can tell they put plenty of time in on the heavy bags and with the mitt with the coaches. But to really be able to judge their experience, Sean, to judge how they sparred, to judge how they've competed in the past, it comes down to range. Can you step in and do that geometry on the fly of where is this moving target?
Particularly against the southpaw, which Gonzalez is. That right jab has found a home here in the first 90 seconds.
I like how Gonzalez is moving. And if he throws 1 punch, he throws 2. There's no reason if one lands to not throw something behind it, and he's doing that real well.
See the damage he has already done. I mean, they go hard everywhere, but the stories that come out of AKA, and there's a good shot from Ingram. Let's talk about his kickboxing.
Good jab, too.
Yeah. That'll keep him honest at least. That's twice. You can see that's done some damage here on that front leg.
Yeah, no, Ingram is really throwing. That was a great 1-2 combo by Ingram. Gonzalez fires back.
That's 3. Kicks that have done damage again. Remember, when you have reverse stances, it works with the kicks too.
That time Ingram threw it with a lead leg and generated some power. No, he didn't. He switched his stance here. I see what he did. Okay.
I wonder if Gonzalez is going to have to think about that after taking that shots on that lead leg.
Well, being as he confused you and I, at least for a millisecond, I would certainly think that to be across from a guy that's changing from orthodox to southpaw, that is a different look. All right, Ingram push him in the fence here. Again, I got to tell you, they told me last night he prefers to wrestle than strike. So he's got his hands on him now. Let's see what he's going to do. Ingram using a good underhook, looking to reach around the back and trap that arm.
What is going through your mind when you take a great takedown? On the fence, see if he has room to work. Into half guard. The first time you take a good shot, a good leg kick and your leg isn't what you want it to be, what is going through your mind?
Yeah, so it's not wonderful, Sean. I mean, look, it can slow you down. You can feel a numbness. A lot of our viewers will be able to relate to it, particularly if you grew up with siblings in the house, because you'll remember the old Charlie horse, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know that sounds silly, but, Sean, that's what it's like. We call it a dead leg sometimes. Your leg can go a little bit numb. You can lose control over the course of a fight. Multiple shots, particularly with the shin bone and some of these power leg kicks. Good stand up there by Gonzalez. We got a good fight on our hands. What the heck's going on here?
Gonzalez forcing his way up. You can see a lot of damage done in the first 3 minutes by both fighters. They stayed in the pocket.
Ingram takes us back. Here he goes.
Great suplex.
I love that, Sean, because it's gravity. Once you lock your hands and pop your hips, gravity is going to bring your opponent down to the mat. Gonzalez trying to recover guard here. He's got half guard. He's got an underhook.
You got to treasure that opportunity. Does not present itself a lot inside the cage. You got to treasure that moment.
Ingram is annoying him constantly. He is not giving him anywhere to rest. He's taking little pot shots. He's grabbing the kicks, the punches on the feet. Even on the ground here, half guard. He's looking to strike. It just doesn't give Gonzalez an opportunity in this position to get his own offense mounted.
It's really been an impressive start for Tyler Ingram, especially after the first 30 seconds.
Not quite big enough. Heavy hits, Ty, heavy hits.
Wants to get the side control. Thought he had it for a second. Looks like there's an opportunity there to pass.
My suspicion in Gonzalez's mind right now is he knows we're inside the last 30 seconds and he's prepared to just ride this one out. I don't think he's looking for those underhooks, which is the first sign and first step to standing up, getting back to your feet.
He's trying to think forward, but it's tough out of half guard. But nonetheless, a very impressive opening round. That last 3.5 minutes controlled by the underdog, Tyler Ingram.
Fight!
All right, I think the game plan here for Gonzalez will be to keep it here. Keep it on the feet. He was having some good opportunities. He's got a good jab.
Keep your eyes out for damage on that right leg of Gonzalez. His hands already are not as high here to start round 2 as they were to start round 1.
4, Sean. I'm keeping track with you. Ingram landed another big leg kick.
Let's set it up again. Let's set it up again.
The damage that comes from leg kicks, the best example if you're a Bellator fan over the last couple of years, when Douglas Lima beat Andrei Korshkov to regain the welterweight title. Andrei Korshkov was dominant again in the first round, but Douglas Lima, as he is wont to do, kept laying in those leg kicks after leg kick. And Korshkov at the end, he didn't have anything left and he got careless because he knew he wasn't going to make the 5 rounds on those legs, taking those kicks.
Sure.
He got knocked out.
Sure, Lima, even in defeat, even in the night he lost his championship to Roy McDonald, he took that whole leg away. It's really in the setup. A lot of people can turn and throw a leg kick, but they get blocked.
Another one.
Boy, that's 5. This is the beginning of the end of that leg. Poor Gonzalez, he's throwing hard still. There's another one slips in.
You're 3 fights into your career. You've had very high-level training, but very little can prepare you for this when all of a sudden you don't have a right leg.
I'm impressed with Gonzalez. I think he's behind on the judges' cards right now, but I am impressed with his skills, which I think just further would tell you how good Ingram is looking tonight.
That overhand left had nothing on it. You could see that leg was about to go. Tyler Ingram just chopping Fernando Gonzalez down.
Coaches will tell you, Muay Thai and kickboxing coaches will tell you that shin bone, the part of your shin bone that you're driving into your opponent's upper thigh, is like swinging a baseball bat, and that some fighters can go as fast as 80 miles per hour. Just to put in perspective for our viewer at home as to why Gonzalez, a trained cage fighter, fell. He fell down. That leg got taken away.
And a great step over into full mount. Can he hold it?
Elbows here, big elbows.
Now you're starting to see the inexperience of Tyler Ingram. He's in a dominant position. Slicing elbow does huge damage from Ingram. Oh, Gonzalez in a world of trouble right now.
Well, these two are putting some pressure on the boys in the back because this is an absolute display of mixed martial arts here. We're seeing everything. Punches, kicks, offense, defense, heart, grit, and right in this case, groundwork with no lulls in action. This is the first fight of the night.
Ingram again trying to step through, does.
Beautiful
again
pass.
in a full mount, wow.
Brings his knee right across the belly, right where it should be. Starting to see why his coach made a point to tell me he's a grappler first. I'm seeing it on the ground here. Pulls his opponent back, creates some space, brings his knee inside. Wow. This is outstanding technique.
Joe, can you see almost a little impatience here with Tyler Ingram in each of these positions?
Or a gaining of confidence, but yes, I do see where he has an urgency out there. And Gonzalez has seemed to have left just a little bit in terms of the urgency. He started out really well in the very first round, but he does seem to be frustrated here on the ground. Seems to be in protective mode, defense mode.
Minute 12 is an awful long time when you're down where Fernando Gonzalez is.
Defense is great when you're trying to teach young people martial arts.
These are rough elbows, slicing elbow shots getting through from Ingram. We may be near the finish line here. Gonzalez has to get out of there.
Defense is not great when you're trying
Exposes
to
the neck and we're done.
a mixed martial arts fight, and there it is.
That was an exceptional early career performance from Tyler Ingram. That's how you make an impact. Let's check out the replay presented by Blackheart Premium Spice Rum, the bold 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core. Fernando Gonzalez was just out of options here.
We had everything thrown at him but the kitchen sink. I mean, look at these elbows are just crashing down. He's also got to deal with the fact that he's in half guard. He wants to get back to full if he can or work his way to his feet. I mean, there was just nowhere to breathe. There was no breathing room.
Tyler Ingram had waited and waited and waited, looking for that one opening.
Yeah, that choke is not in, by the way. That choke's not in, but look, Gonzalez had enough. And when you've had enough, that is the correct signal. You simply tap out.
Really impressive. Gonzalez went as far as he did, as banged up as he was.
I agree. I agree. I got no problem with either one of these guys. That was a great contest.
All right, Michael C. Williams makes it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage while working the rear naked choke, the tap does come officially. 4 minutes, 13 seconds into round number 2. The winner, and still undefeated, Tyler Ingram.
Tail of the tape brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
Sean, what's jumping out at me, and I'm sure everybody at home, is the record in here. Rudy is undefeated, but inexperienced, at least in comparison to John Hill's 18 tries in mixed martial arts.
To Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at WinStar World Casino and Resort, we'll go now to the heavyweight division set for 3 5-minute rounds. Introducing the blue corner first. At 6'4", weighing in 252.4 pounds, his professional record stands undefeated, 4 victories, no defeats. Hailing from Clackamas, Oregon, presenting Rudy Schaffroth. And across the cage, his adversary out of the red corner at 6 foot, weighing in 256.2 pounds as a professional. He brings 12 victories, 6 defeats, fighting out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, introducing John Hill. And the referee in charge of the action, Jacob Montalvo.
Round 1, ready, fight.
The fight clock brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories.
Sean, I must disclose to you right off the bat and our viewer at home, I have coached Rudy since he was a teenager. He is my teammate and I work out with him to this day.
And he is closing in on an opening second victory to see if the veteran John Hill can get out of trouble. Jacob Montalvo giving a long look. He's defending himself. But can he get Schaffroth off him?
Well, that's going to be the big question. Right now, Hill's got to use his hands to cover up from some of these strikes. That's good, intelligent defense. However, he also needs those hands to ultimately brace on the mat and start to gain elevation to
and
his
Montalvo
feet.
will stop it.
and he will not have an opportunity.
You barely had opportunity to disclose your connection to this very impressive, undefeated young fighter.
I was going to finish this thought by saying I believe I can be unbiased, but I am a human being, but we never got to that point.
Let's check out the replay presented by Blackheart Premium Spice Rum, the bold 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core.
Right here, Rudy clips him. Now, these two guys were just out throwing. I won't admit that's how our boxing coach exactly shows how to throw punches, but when you weigh 260, you can make a couple of exceptions, and then he follows it up. Right here, these guys are both throwing. Rudy does have a little bit of range, which means his punches are landing, while John Hill's just simply are not going to. Rudy connects, John goes down. John looked to recover, but Rudy followed up, threw a lot of punches. The referee gave John every opportunity, but he just simply wasn't able to change the position.
Your native Oregon in 2004, the All-Oregon football all-state team. Defensive linemen, the two defensive ends, Rudy Schaffroth and Indomigan Sioux. Both, it appears, have chosen their professions wisely.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the cage, the end comes 42 seconds into round number 1. Referee Jacob Montalvo waves it off due to unanswered strikes. The winner by TKO, Rudy Schaffroth.
The tail of the tape brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports. We saw Steve Kozola a couple years ago in Chicago when he went to 8-0, and he was as hard a hitter as there was.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage, we'll go 3 5-minute rounds in the lightweight division. First, introducing the blue corner. At 5'10", weighing in 155.9 pounds. His professional record, 7 victories, 3 defeats, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, presenting Ryan Walker. And across the cage, his adversary out of the red corner at 5'11", weighing in 154.6 pounds. As a professional, he brings 8 victories, 2 defeats. By way of Chicago, he fights out of San Diego, California. Introducing Steve Thunderbeast Kozola. In charge of the action, your referee, Jason Herzog.
Round, fight, are you ready? Fight, are you ready? Fight!
Fight clock brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories. You want to get any disclaimers about Ryan Walker out of the way now?
Okay.
It's probably best.
All right, thank you very much. I called Mike Hogan and Scott Coker. This is also a teammate of mine. They got put on the same card. My final disclosure of the evening. But I will tell you this. I'm also very familiar with Steve Kozola, because a prior teammate was Kozola's last fight, who happens to be Ryan Walker's roommate.
6 degrees of Chael Sonnen.
Oh,
good,
Kozola.
quick right hand.
Oh, that was excellent. It was almost like a Superman punch.
Now, Steve Kozola in that highlight night in Chicago with 1 million people watching here on Paramount Network scored that opening round knockout of the North Country Nightmare, Jake Roberts. But inevitable setbacks come. That's the MMA game, and it's how you respond from it after 1 loss. 2 losses in a row, all of a sudden the pressure starts to mount, and that's where Steve Kozola is right now.
Yeah, and Kozola fights a dangerous style, right? It's one of the reasons we love watching him fight so much. He goes out there, he lays it all on the line, but he does leave himself exposed. When you force firefights, there are shots coming back at you, and every now and then they're going to slip through. We're even seeing that right now. Kozola's out there right now. He's throwing caution to the wind, and he's starting a fist fight.
Tries to come in with that left uppercut. Yeah, you'd like this story. Before that Jake Roberts fight, I asked Steve Kozola, I said, what do you know about your opponent? And he said, I don't know much. I know he's about to lose. It's like, I'm writing that one down. But it's, the highs and lows and EKG of your early career. Good combinations in that staggered Ryan Walker.
Yeah, Kozola let him off the hook.
He did. And put him right back on the hook, and it's done.
Wow, those were some very big shots. Kozola appeared to be giving him an opportunity to recover, almost like he surprised himself that they landed. But I think he saw something a little bit different. I think he saw something a little bit, from his perspective, different than what I was about to announce, because he stepped right back in, and that time the ref had to call the fight.
Again, it does not last long, and Steve Kozola is back in the win column. Let's check out the replay presented by Blackheart Premium Spice Rum, the Bull 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core.
That's a 1-2 right on the button. That's the one that buckled him. And right here's where Kozola says, hey, come on. And we thought he was letting him recover, but he stepped right in. That lead two and that final hook from the ground is really what ended this. Look at how fast that was. Boom, boom. Stumbles him a little bit, lets him recover, sizes up the situation, comes back in with a straight right and finishes him with that hook.
That is the Steve Kozola that started off 8-0.
Now watch this, just to make sure. Boom, that's really where he caught him. Referee Herzog had no choice but to protect Ryan Walker and end this fight.
A thunder strike from Thunder Beast. Michael C. Williams makes it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage, referee Jason Herzog steps in, waves off the contest officially. 1 minute, 45 seconds into round number one. The winner by TKO, Steve Thunder Beast Kozola.
Another first round knockout for Steve Kozola. His 8th career knockout. He goes to 9-2 and gets himself back on the list and back on the climb.
Oh, look at this record. I mean, does it get much better than that? That looks a lot like my record, only much more impressive.
Gerald Harris, the Hurricane, he has been around, and I mean around, sort of having this, he goes back on this network to the Ultimate Fighter 7. That's how long his career has lasted, and he thinks what we're going to be talking about now is that welterweight Grand Prix, and does he have a chance to be a wild card? The Michael C. Williams.
Live worldwide on the Bellator MMA Global app from Windstar World Casino and Resort. We now go to 3 5-minute rounds in the welterweight division. Introducing the blue corner at 5'11", weighing in 170.2 pounds. Tonight, making his Bellator debut. He brings 19 victories, no defeats, fighting out of Kiev, Ukraine. Introducing Yaroslav Amosov. And across the cage, his adversary fighting out of the red corner at 5'11", weighing in 170.5 pounds. His professional record, 25 wins, 6 defeats, fighting out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, presenting Gerald Hurricane Harris. In charge of the action, your referee, Michael Bell.
Back up, back up. All the way, Yaroslav, back over. First round, you ready, Yaroslav? Ready, Gerald?
The fight clock brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste at only 96 calories.
Sean, can I give you a fun fact on Gerald Harris?
Please do.
When he's not fighting, do you want to know what he does for a living?
Stand up.
Doggone it. How'd you
get one by me?
do that?
That's what I do.
That's got to surprise you, though. I mean, how great is that? And I've seen it. He's funny. He's very charismatic. All right, back to the fight.
Not unlike yourself.
Well, thank you, buddy.
Well, there are many great stories to think. There is no shortage of stories about Gerald Harris. You saw Tulsa, Oklahoma. He also went to Cleveland State, where he became very good friends with a guy by the name of Stipe Miocic.
I've heard of him.
And also has a relationship, a wrestling background with Daniel Cormier. So he was
heard of him.
very, very invested last weekend. And those two found themselves together. Tells a great story about his friendship with Stipe, that he did not go to his wedding. He couldn't afford a plane ticket to go to his wedding and never told Stipe.
Too embarrassed.
He was too embarrassed. He didn't want him to know.
Boy, Amosov's not afraid to come across the ring and get right into this with him, though, is he?
Now, you saw the record. Obviously, it is sparkling. The first thing you ask is, against who do you pile up those 19 wins? And do you don't know what you don't know when you're 19-0.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. You know, it does come with a confidence. Can that be a false confidence? Yes, it absolutely can be a problem. But I do like the way he's moving right now. I mean, I must say Gerald Harris is warming up a little bit still. It looks. Amosov came out warm. I mean, he's throwing punches, he's throwing kicks, he's closed the gap already. And ultimately a fight is a dance, and that only one person can lead at a time. And so far, it's been Amosov.
Saw on the tail of the tape, he's 24 years old. Is that correct? FC welterweight champion. Welterweight is going to become the centerpiece conversation in Bellator pretty soon as we move towards that Grand Prix and you think about some of the names. Paul Daly, MVP, and Leva, and Koreshkov, and Rory McDonald, the current welterweight world champion who has a date with the middleweight world champion, Gegard Mousasi, coming up. A huge fight in San Jose, good takedown from Amosov.
You know, that was very good technique. Not only did he close the distance and come into a single leg, he stepped behind Gerald's foot that was posted on the ground, and that's what off-balanced him. I'm going to assume Amosov is no stranger to the wrestling room coming out of the Ukraine. Gerald's got to look to come to his feet here. Just step 1 foot up at a time. There, he's got 1 foot up now. He just has to bring the other one up. If he could just step off that knee, bring the other foot up, he will be to his feet. He can use that cage to help keep him there.
Amosov takes the foot away from him. Not for long.
Gerald Harris has got to pick up the speed here. Speed becomes a factor when you're talking about who's going to lead the dance, and right now Amosov's being a little bit fast. Gerald has the speed. He hasn't flipped that switch yet.
Do you notice when you hit 35, 36, 37, 38 that the speed that your mind is telling your body to do things and it takes your body a little longer to respond?
And you know, and I like how you said that because, yes, I don't feel that the speed goes quite as much as some people will say and perceive to believe, but it does take a little bit longer to find. And an athlete sometimes can do that in the back. Sometimes he's got to warm up a little bit harder. But it does look, and I watched Gerald work out last night, he's still got the speed, but he hasn't brought it just yet.
Harris is looking for an opportunity. He's been very methodical, very methodical.
Amosov with some busy combinations there. There's 3 or 4 punches followed up by a kick. He's staying very busy.
Gerald Harris doesn't mind giving away the round to sort of figure this out. With all the names we mentioned and these great welterweights, you can probably list 7 obvious choices for the Grand Prix. That leaves an 8th spot that is wide open for anybody in the Bellator roster with a spectacular performance to make an impact and sneak into that tournament.
Are you hinting at, so do you have some kind of information that you haven't shared with Old Chael?
I have lots of information.
I'm starting to feel as though maybe you got tipped off, and I like where your head's at there. I mean, Amosov, should he come out of this fight, is going to be 20-0. You want to ignore that? I mean, you're going to have a hard time.
The beauty of the tournament is not, and the Grand Prix is not just the guys that are in it that are going to be in this Grand Prix, but wondering who's the 8th guy going to be, and what are the matchups. Needless to say, wow.
And off a single, you know, single is very uncommon in MMA. It happens. Chris Weidman.
Why is it uncommon in MMA?
Because you need both legs. You know, there's a big question when you have a single. Do I have his leg, or does he have my hand?
Right.
And not a lot of guys go to that.
Time! Second round. You ready, Gerald? You ready, Slop? Fight!
10-9 for Amosov?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm going to make a prediction for you, and that is that switch I was talking about with Gerald Harris that he most certainly possesses. I think he's going to flip it, and we're going to see a different Gerald Harris. May not be a different round, but I think that Gerald is going to come after him in the second frame here.
Again, going for the single again. You leave yourself a little open. Use the trip just to push him back to the fence.
You're already seeing a different speed from Gerald. Now, can that constitute the scoring points to winning a round? Let's see, but we are seeing a different athlete here, even in these first 30 seconds.
Gerald Harris on Team Rampage, the Ultimate Fighter 7. Far previous incarnation of the Paramount Network. Also well known for basically cold calling Dana White when he was on a radio talk show and said, hey, you heard about this guy, Gerald Harris? And it basically led to a meeting and an interview and a job and 4 fights in the UFC, including against John Salter.
Well, Dana was a good sport then for a little comedy relief, huh? I guess we got to give him some credit there. Ooh, kick up the middle. by Amosov.
This 19-0 is not a, you can ask questions about it until you get on the big stage, but he's been impressive.
Sean, Gerald is trying to set something up. I haven't figured it out myself what it is yet, but he is looking for something with this motion. He's looking for one big shot. He's looking for a KO, but I'm not sure what punch he's looking for. I believe it's either an uppercut or an overhand left, but he hasn't found it. I can tell he's looking for it. I can tell with the bobbing and the weaving that he's looking for, but Amosov hasn't given him the opening.
That hurt, that leg kick on the inside. That stopped Harris.
Tricky head kick there, too, the way he's setting that up.
He's thrown a few of them. Harris is defending them, but they're keeping him at bay.
Yeah, Gerald even dipped into that last one and had some power on it. There he comes right back in. Finishes up again with that outside head kick.
Spinning back fist. Seeing a lot of clubs in the bag of Amosov.
Amosov can fight. There's no way around it. I also don't know who the people were on that 19-0 list, but I don't really care at this point. This guy's real.
A realization that Gerald Harris is dealing with right now.
Gerald stalking him down. I still do maintain that he is looking for something. He is looking for that one big shot. A moment ago you were talking about the speed kind of leaving an athlete later in his career. But everybody will also tell you the last thing to go is the power. And whether it works out or not, I can tell everybody at home, Gerald is in this fight because he's looking for that shot.
Not just a fighter, he hasn't seen much, but an unorthodox fighter with a lot of different weapons. How hard, early in your career, as someone who came from a world of wrestling and preparation, how hard was it to find material on opponents?
Oh, it was a different sport back then. Yeah, you're talking even about, before the YouTube
big left hook.
Where you can go out there and get clips. Okay, Gerald's got to move here. He's sitting on his knees. That's not going to work. He's going to come up to his feet and drive.
That wasn't offensive. That was defensive from Gerald Harris.
This Amosov, he's showing everything. Now he's showing us defense. He showed us great offense for about 9 minutes here. Now he's starting to show us he's got defense. 19-0 didn't get him on the radar. He's going to be on it after this. Now he's going to look for a submission. You got to be kidding me.
He's not there yet, but I'll tell you, he's putting 10-8 in play in the second round.
Gerald's got to come off of those knees. I would argue he's even better to sit back and pull guard than he is to stay there. Good. That's the first option. Stand up to your feet and start over.
Remember when Gerald Harris got stopped by Rafael Lovato in his Bellator debut, it was the first time in 10 years he had been stopped. And that's the caliber of opponent and the veteran and the experience that Amosov has been dominating here through 2 rounds.
Did Amosov just hurt himself?
I think he did.
He shook it off quickly, but he did show something there, didn't he?
And the single is a dangerous takedown attempt. Now it's not working for him. Jump knee. Big finish to round 2 for Amosov. 19-0 with a bullet.
I'm not ready to count Gerald Harris out yet. I know the veteran has been saving his energy.
Third round, you ready? Third round,
you mentioned his fight with Lovato prior to that fight, which was only a couple of months ago. He was on the shelf. So, he is still feeling this out himself. He doesn't quite know where his energy's at, but he knows he can go 5 minutes.
Keep an eye on the right foot of Amosov and see if he is hesitant to throw that leg kick. Throws one, throws another, a little more tentative than we saw in the first 2 rounds.
When Gerald Harris has been busy in this fight, he's had some good moments. He just hasn't had enough of those enough of those bursts. He's been very defensive. He's been, what I believe, looking for a shot that he simply never found. But when he's busy, when he's coming forward, he's held his own.
Wonder about the damage now that was done early. Is that going to slow Gerald Harris down? Mentally, he knows it's time to turn it on. Can he do it physically?
Gerald's coming forward. He's having good luck. He's shutting Amosov down. When Amosov does land, the power isn't there. But when Amosov can get Gerald backing up, that's when he's been able to take control.
So looking for the opportunity again to trip. Still strong enough to do that with 3:23 to go in round 3. And into side control.
Yeah, and he's not just picking up anybody. He's just not getting top control on anybody. Gerald Harris is an excellent wrestler. Talked about his time at Cleveland State with Stipe. You talked about his time in the training room with Daniel Cormier. It's not very often that you'll see Gerald Harris on the bottom. It really meant just purely as a compliment to Amosov.
Gerald Harris, like a lot of the veterans of the sport, has fought at many different weight classes. He's fought at 225.
Gerald Harris is protecting himself here, pulling Amosov's head down, make the shots a little bit less powerful and effective, but he's not mounting an offense of his own. He's not looking for submissions. He's not digging underhooks, which is the first step to getting back to his feet.
And you're already down 2 rounds to none.
Don't grab it.
Amosov still faster. Amosov now content with that 2-round lead. He just wants this to the ground and run the clock out. Well, he's checking a lot of boxes, Amosov.
I'm blown away by this performance, particularly because, to your point, he has shown everything. And now he's showing conditioning. Now he's showing strategy. He has done the same math that you and I have done. He knows he's up by 2. He knows at this point he has to beat the clock, but he's still staying active. He's still staying aggressive. He's still improving position when he needs to. These are small things. They're smaller than the punches and the kicks and the setups, but they matter, and he's doing them.
They're beyond his years, not necessarily the experience, but still, this is a 24-year-old fighter. Youth is going to be served in this one.
Interesting night we've had so far, isn't it, Sean?
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, I'm not sure we're not looking at the prospect, at the contender, at the guy that people are going to say, where is that 8th spot going?
Just what Bellator needed, another super dynamic young welterweight. One of the deepest divisions in the sport.
Gerald Harris has not given up in this fight. He's taken plenty of damage. He has not given up. I very much respect the effort he's putting in here. But again, Amosov showing wrestling defense.
This is the thing about the sport now. So many young fighters from all around the world who've come up, not specifically as wrestlers, not specifically as jiu-jitsu players, but as mixed martial artists.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it used to be, have a base in one, try to learn the others. That's not the case now.
That is a impactful debut from Yaroslav Amosov.
Look at this takedown. I'm so impressed the way he gets into that single. Gerald did not just slip there. Amosov actually pulled that leg, looked to move it higher, pulled Gerald's leg out from under him. I mean, look, you're checking out a highlight reel. I can tell you now without even seeing this, it's going to be all Amosov. He's the only one that was able to really mount an effective offense tonight. And he did it with volume. He threw punches, he threw kicks, he stayed busy on the ground. Right here, he's trapping the leg. This is just pinning Gerald down, but this is very strategic. Khabib Nurmagomedov does a lot of that on the ground. Traps the leg, it pins the opponent down.
38 years old. Gerald Harris went the full 15.
Oh, no question. No question in heart from either one of these guys.
Michael C. Williams makes it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance, we'll go to your 3 judges. At cage side, your first judge, Don Turnage, scores the fight 30-26, while judges Tim Tallchief and Dan Mathieson both see it the same, 30-27. All have it for the winner by unanimous decision. Still undefeated, Yaroslav Amosov.
Brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
All right, you take a look at these gals. They're very similar in everything but the age. And is the youth going to help Emily Ducote, or is the veteran Veta going to have the advantage?
To Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage, we'll go now to the flyweight division set for 3 5-minute rounds. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. At 5'4", weighing in 125.7 pounds, her professional record stands at 3-2. She fights out of Boise, Idaho, presenting Veta Arteaga. And across the cage, her adversary, fighting out of the red corner. At 5'2", weighing in 125 pounds even, the former world title challenger tonight stands with 6 professional victories, 4 defeats, fighting out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, introducing Emily Ducote. And the referee in charge of the action, Gerald.
On my cue, ladies. Fighter, fight!
The fight clock brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories. This could be a firefight. Veta Arteaga likes to start quickly. You think about this division, this women's flyweight division, which was conjured out of nowhere 2 years ago. It didn't exist, and now some of the familiar faces, obviously Alima McFarland has taken her star turn, the world champion. But Emily Ducote, who has fought the champion twice, Veta Arteaga has had some very memorable fights, including the very controversial loss to Anastasia Yankova a couple of years ago in Austin, Texas. And the fight against Brooke Mayo when she made her debut. It's just become such a fun division.
Arteaga's stance is peculiar to me. She's bent over, she's hunched down, which generally means she's worried about a takedown. And it looks like she studied that one correctly, because Emily Ducote comes underneath. Emily's going to need those hips. She's going to need both legs and control of the hips, or it's not going to work, and it didn't. Well, Arteaga's not afraid to pressure, is she? I mean, she is coming right across, starting to fight here. Ducote moving her feet, being smart. If she wants to keep Arteaga off her, she should pump that jab, even feint a knee.
We first saw Veta fighting at home in Boise a couple of years back on the undercard of the infamous Manhoff-Carvalho middleweight title fight, in air quotes. But Veta made such an impact. She's been a part of this division ever since.
I can quite literally hear Emily Ducote's kicks slapping against the leg of Arteaga. Arteaga's still stalking her down. I like that pressure. It's making it very hard for Emily. It's when Arteaga slows or even stops that Ducote's able to land her strikes.
Great takedown. Level change. Now Emily Ducote has it where she wants it.
Yeah, this is right where Emily wants to be. She's going to look to pass, look to step over that knee.
Nice.
Oh, and there she does. Switches those hips. Ducote in full side control here. Got a couple of options. She'll probably hold her here for a moment. Could be looking for a far arm or submission, or she's going to bring her knee across and go right into a mount.
Looking for the back. Really trying to stay safe.
Ducote's got to control those hips there. She's got both legs in. Now she's going to be able to control those hips better. Look for her to come underneath the chin and start setting up that rear naked choke. She transitions to an armbar. She might have this. Arteaga with excellent defense, floated all the way around the body, but Ducote's not done yet. She's starting to look for a triangle.
You got a split second to get out of that, and Veta Arteaga did. Very small window.
Arteaga coming up with a combination of her own. This is where Arteaga's doing her best work, when she pressures her, when she's coming forward and pressuring her. pressuring her. It makes it very hard for Ducote to start scoring. Now here, Arteaga slowing back down.
Joe, what a series of great fights to start this night.
I gotta tell you, I came in here high energy, expecting a great card, but I have been a little bit blown away. What do you think? Well, Scott Coker started to think he made the wrong choice being out there in Italy, huh?
What's over there?
Yeah, what's over in Italy? I know he's watching right now. He's got to be impressed. Ducote with another takedown, and it's because.
And you know, when you come to WinStar, you've got the Rome Coliseum and the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Everything's out in the parking lot.
Come on!
It's like going to Epcot. You can knock everything out.
See the world, right? See the world in one location. Oh, good knees to the body there. Boy, Arteaga, I have to make this point though, Sean. Every time Arteaga is pressuring and moving forward, Ducote's caught off guard. Ducote, though, is smart. She moves her feet, and she waits until that bull movement stops, and then she mounts her own offense.
You have never seen an MMA fight before. You know, through the first 5 minutes, you know exactly what these two fighters do and where they are most comfortable. It is very simple, cut and dry with these two, but a very tough first round to call.
Funny you say that, because I was just about to say this is a tough one to score, and if it stopped right now, I am leaning towards Ducote because of that takedown and groundwork. But here, right here, Arteaga can steal around. And Ducote may steal it back.
Look how quickly she transitions. 12 seconds. Can Veta hang on to the end of round one?
Arteaga's not going to get submitted here, but the key is to keep scrambling and keep this motion going. She's blocking that far leg as smart. She's not going to get caught here.
This is deep, but it's very late in the round.
Had that not been late in the round, I would not have said to you she wasn't going to get caught there. I knew that bell was going to ring, but that was a good position by Emily Ducote. Right here. Oh, she transitions to an arm. Now watch this defense. The defense is actually better than the offense because Arteaga only had a moment to change to the opposite side of the body. And I thought Arteaga, particularly from coming out from that low stance early in this fight, shows she didn't want to go to the ground. She also showed here that she is prepared on the ground. Ducote takes her back again. Arteaga's in okay position on that exchange.
This was the best. This was the deepest, the most dangerous, but time was running out.
And likely would have had her. Likely would have had her. It looked like Arteaga was a little late to the party getting her hands involved, but fortunately, timing is everything, and time was on her side.
Enough for Ducote to win the round in your view.
I do think so.
Right here, Veta, you know, is going to come flying out here in round two.
That's good, that's good.
Both these fighters trying to get back in position. There is a #1 contender for Leite McFarland's world title, but this division's going to go on. That was quite a scene at Pachanga a couple of weeks ago to see the star turn that Leite McFarland has taken.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. You know, I give her a lot of credit, but you know what? I give a lot of credit to our fans for that. I give a lot of credit to the appreciation that they had. And I think they might be like you and I. They just like to say Alima Lay.
It is.
That's at least a piece of the pie, Sean, yes?
It does roll off the tongue.
Ducote. And it's a good straight.
Leite McFarland, like so many of the young stars in Bellator, you can't look to what was when you're trying to predict who's going to be a star. Millennials view the world differently. She represents them so well and connects so well.
I like this takedown, at least the setup that Ducote is doing here. She throws it across, goes right into a step. Rose did that in her title fight with Joanna. It's just an excellent takedown.
I can watch those two fight all day. I mean, it's just the time. You know, there's a lot of people, Chael, obviously giving Ronda grief for getting in the Hall of Fame. So, I mean, the game has changed, and she changed it. And look at the impact now around the sport as a result.
Yeah.
We're not talking anymore about, oh, this is a great women's fight. It's just a great fight.
Yeah, Arteaga, for somebody who did not want to go to the ground, certainly prepared to be there. She is doing so well defensively, and now she's even on top of Ducote. If she could just scoot her forward about 2 inches, she can use that cage. Look like what Randy Couture and Tito Ortiz used to do, just pin people against that fence.
Emily's hunting here on the ground.
Yeah, and Arteaga's arm is vulnerable unless she can pull it out and get the elbow clear. Emily's opened up, so it's not as big of a danger. Emily's decided to look for a sweep instead. And Arteaga's able to use that fence. Wherever her skills may be a little bit behind Ducote, that fence can make the difference. Ducote's trapped.
This has been a great chess match.
Arteaga just forcing that right knee in there, just not letting Ducote get that space. Look at it, just pins her down with that knee.
Knee on belly. You hear the coaching, watch the arm. Good advice.
If I didn't know better, I swear Arteaga's trying to steal around and send us into the third frame all tied up.
She's far more comfortable here on the ground. I mean, Veta Arteaga's just going to scrap wherever the fight is.
Oh!
That one got through.
Yes, it did. Big shot.
Emily's got to get out of there.
I'm just foreshadowing, though, because I love the drama. And if we do go into round 3, I mean, what a great fight this is so far. Arteaga, she might be looking for the finish. Emily's going to need to move that darn fence.
That's it. That's exactly the point. That fence took away her escape. Now Emily Ducote in a lot of trouble here.
Now, adversely, if Emily could get her back on that fence, get her shoulders on the fence, it would help her with her stand-up. She could use it in her favor, but not this low, not when it's only your hair, only that part of your head on the fence. That's when you know it's working against you.
Big shots. Veta Arteaga's done more than win the round. If this does get to a third round, I wonder what Emily Ducote's going to have left.
Yeah, well, this is a mauling. I mean, a few more big shots get through. It does open up an opportunity, should a judge want to use it, for a 10-8 round.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Absolutely a mauling if you were to count strike for strike here. We've got well over 100 versus well under 10. Arteaga coming out front. I couldn't imagine she's looking for a guillotine. Oh, knees to the body, and now she's going to finish with another storm.
Emily Ducote just trying to get to the bell. And she will.
Wow. I mean, what a difference.
Here we go. M, fight.
That's a bull terrier right there. She's coming strong.
I'll tell you what, that's really been the problem that Emily's had with Arteaga is that pressure. I mean, Arteaga is coming forward. And when she doesn't, Emily capitalizes. Head kick there by Emily.
But yeah, you said it right. The fence was the difference on the ground in round 1 and round 2.
Little exchange there. Both girls able to touch the other one. Taking them just coming forward. She's still worried. She's still very respectful to Ducote's takedowns. You can see in the posture and the stance there. Emily with a head kick, but she's not setting them up, so she's not quite getting any power on those. Good, a good knee to the body from Ducote. Arteaga fires back. I do think that last fight, that last round, if I was scoring it, I would have had to go 10-8, but I must share with you, that's something that our judges are resistant to do for whatever reason. So it is very likely, very possible, that we do have a dead even fight here at 1 apiece.
Everyone is resistant to change. This is the way we've always done it. Change comes slow.
Arteaga got a big cross in there. Now Emily is starting to be the one that pushes forward.
Yeah.
It's a totally different fight. If Emily's coming forward.
Now she feels comfortable. And look at her trying to get her towards the middle of the cage, and she can't do it.
Good defense. Good defense. Arteaga never stopped moving there.
Emily could have had that takedown, but she didn't want it near the fence.
Arteaga never stopped, never conceded her hips, never conceded a position, dug inside underneath that chin, cleared back out.
Oh, this has been good stuff. So you want to be an MMA judge.
Careful what you ask for, right, Sean?
Because it's not like anyone's waiting to jump on you if you make a mistake.
Arteaga just will not stop moving. Just making it so hard. There's that shot. I just love that shot. She throws that rear hand. She steps through and trips. TJ Dillashaw also does that move. I've been working on it myself to no avail. I think that's why I'm so impressed here when it works. Oh, and look, Sean, look what we got. Ducote back up against the fence. Now again, if she could rotate her head towards the fence, get her shoulders on it, get her back on it, now all of a sudden the fence is her friend. When she's just pinned against it, whether it's her side or the top of her head, I like to say her hair, because I'm literally talking about that top, very top part of the head, that's when it is a problem. That's when it was the tag team partner for your opponent.
Most of you know the rules. You could use the fence as if it is a wall to push off, but you cannot grab it with your toes or your fingers. I mean, you can, but don't get caught, I guess would be the point. Very close fight. It is very much up for grabs in this final minute 20.
Emily trying to scoot out the back. She was looking for leg locks earlier, too. I don't believe she's going to get it. This is what we call a reverse leg lock, meaning her legs are on the outside. I think she'd have more luck bringing them to the inside, trying to off-balance her opponent. But either way, we're to our feet now. And I trust if Arteaga can just push forward.
Minute 15 in another classic in this division.
You know, I talked to Emily Ducote earlier today. Guess what she said to me? Not much, wasn't it?
Why are you talking to me before a fight?
Wasn't exactly a chatty Cathy. I think I got a hello out of her. She had her game face on, though, and to your point, yes, I realized now is not the time.
Such a great story coming back to this part of the country. Her grandmother, her biggest fan. You see the damage now she's done to the left eye of Veta Arteaga. Getting back fist attempt. Everything is forward, Veta. The eyes are wide.
And when Vita's going forward, she's a problem.
Good shot from Emily Ducote.
And when Ducote can back her up, oh, huge shot by Ducote.
And that's how you have to close a very close fight.
Oh!
Arteaga answers back. A tremendous closing moment to a phenomenal fight between these two.
Outstanding. Wow.
Emily Ducote had her moments on the feet.
Watch this. Oh, I just love this takedown. She's throwing a punch at her to distract her, then Ducote steps behind, trips her legs, and here Arteaga with one of her own. Now, it really looked to me like Arteaga did not want to take this fight to the ground. She wanted to stay standing up. Halfway through the contest, she changed her mind. Look at this big shot. Maybe the biggest shot that Ducote threw tonight. Got through. Ducote's pressuring her in, and this is where, this is the very end of the fight right here. Arteaga gets off with a flurry. Back and forth battle. How's this for a highlight reel? Oh, elbow over the top, my goodness.
It feels very much, Jill, like this is going to come down to whether that second round was 10-8 or 10-9. Right now, there's only one man who knows. That's Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance, we'll go now to your three judges at cage side. All three judges, David Sutherland, Don Turnage, and Tim Talljeep, all scored exactly the same at 30-27 for the winner by unanimous decision, Veta Arteaga.
That is a shocking decision. Not that Veta Arteaga won the fight, but that it was viewed so unanimously. Let's check out the tail of the tape, brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play and watch sports.
Yes, and I really think that the reach matters every time I watch Will Morris, whether it's in a fight or is even in the workout room as recently as last night. He likes to keep guys at the end of his punches. This reach doesn't come down to who's is longer, it's who knows how to use it, and Will Morris does like to keep his opponents at bay.
To Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight here at WingStar World Casino and Resort, we'll now go for a scheduled 3 5-minute round contest in the lightweight division. Introducing the blue corner at 6'2", weighing in 155.5 pounds. His professional record, undefeated, 3 wins, no losses. He fights out of Houston, Texas, presenting Will the Blue Chip Morris. And across the cage, his adversary tonight fights out of the red corner at 5'8". He weighed in officially 153.6 pounds. As a professional, he stands tonight at 2-2. He fights out of Lancaster, Texas. Introducing Charles Williams. And the referee in charge of the action, Jacob Montalvo.
Back up, back up. Stay back. We don't have doctors back here. We don't have a doctor out here. We don't, oh, there he is. Ready? Are you ready? Round 1, fight.
The fight clock brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories. Unusual to see a reach and height advantage like this at 155. Not to mention the man bun.
Well done, Sean.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Morris controlling things. Oh, Williams was inside and chose to broke away from that clinch. I thought that might be where he wanted this fight to go.
You say there's a body size for everybody. There's a type, there's a fight style for everybody.
Morris doing a good job with feints. He's making Williams stay at bay and guess.
Put your hands together.
And if your opponent is reacting, then he is not attacking.
I'm sorry, but not a single judge thought Emily Ducote won a round in that fight.
I'm glad you went back to that. Come on. I mean, come on. I have a real problem with that as well.
It's a tough job. I get it. I don't want to be that guy. But
I did agree with you that the first 2 rounds were very clear and that they split them. Morris doing a real good job with the fakes. I mean, he's feinting, he's making Williams guess here constantly. And that's a hard script to flip once it happens. And the best thing that Williams could do is to do it back to him, copy him. If he's faking you and making you guess, then you got to start faking him and making him guess. He's landing jabs on you and it's a problem. You got to land jabs on him and make it a problem.
something you see also in young fighters very early in their career, one shot at a time. Sure. One shot.
Yep.
Not comfortable with the combinations yet.
And Sean, if one can land, the second can as well. Easy for me to say, but it's something that needs to be trained. But that is the reality. If one can touch him, so can the next one.
He got wobbled. He did. He got wobbled.
I didn't completely see from my vantage point what got through, but he most certainly has stumbled a little bit.
Oh, big shot. Lead. Williams in trouble here. Now he's using the distance perfectly. And Williams almost literally running away. He's turned away.
Ref's got to take a look at this.
Yeah, when you turn away, that's a fight-stopping moment. But Jacob Montalvo just looking.
Yes, Williams not fighting back right now. And Morris doing such a good job. He's even leading with a power hand.
It's a term that we use called physical surrender.
I support this by Williams. I support trying to take it to the ground. Oh, look at these long arms. Oh, I have a feeling Morris is going to have this just by looking at his position. His legs where it should be, his hands where it should be. Williams comes out of it. Morris throws him back down. And we've still got 90 seconds left.
This will, if Williams can survive the round, at least a chance to clear his head, which was anything but about a minute ago.
Williams hanging on tight. He's got that right arm wrapped all the way around the neck and then locked into the armpit. That's defensive. He's not going to mount anything from here, but he is going to slow Morris down from doing anything back to him. I like how Williams is doing this. I haven't really seen it, but I mean, he's reached all the way around, Sean, and then locked into the armpit just to anchor the position.
Stand you up last morning.
It doesn't seem to be, it seems more defensive in nature, but it's working. Until now.
Morris created a little space now. Now he can use those long elbows.
He's thinking about head and arm. He's got some options here. He's got a good step over, seatbelt. You always see there's a lack of smoothness in transitions when you watch younger fighters.
Let's go.
Good elbow there by Morris. Oh, collapsed on that one, didn't he? Oh, collapsing elbow again.
Best thing about round one for Charles Williams is that it is over. A very bizarre sequence in the middle of that round, Chael, when there was that almost physical surrender. He turned sideways on a couple of occasions. Fight-ending moments. Take a look at it.
Right here, Morris tricks him, off-balances him with that inside leg kick and comes right over the top with a cross. And it was right here where Williams was wobbled a little bit. And Sean, where you and I almost predicted that he didn't want the fight to go on, and Morris just coming forward. That's what we mean when we say smelling blood. Right here, I thought this was wise by Williams. I realized the takedown didn't work out, but I thought the intent was good. Try to get this thing to the ground, see if he could change things. Morris though sprawled, looked for a submission, and we move on to the second frame.
Got your mouthpiece? All right,
Point of clarification, by the way, earlier when the announcement about the judging in the Ducote fight, a third judge had it 29-27, not 30-27, did give the first round to Emily Ducote. The second is we had it 10-8, but all three judges, the difference in the fight, all three judges saw that third round for Veta Arteaga. But two of the three, the reason it was such a dominant decision, two of the three saw the first round for Veta Arteaga as well. That's a fight I would like. A lot of these fights we've seen in the prelims I would like to see again.
Sure.
We're going to see a lot of these names again, some of which we've seen for the first time.
And I'll just make an early prediction here. If Williams can't get this fight to the ground and get himself on top, we're just going to see more of the same here because Morris has this range figured out. So I was talking about earlier, Morris is one of these long guys that knows how to use the length. They're both extending a hand or a leg right now. Only Morris is going to touch. Williams has to change that. He's got to get inside. He's got to pressure his opponent back. He's just, he hasn't quite found the right range to find his target.
Top of the hour, we're going live and free. New Paramount Network. All roads leading, good uppercut got through. All roads leading to the featherweight world title fight, the main event, Julia Budd's second title defense against a fascinating and very dangerous challenger in Talita Nogueira. So many fits and starts to her MMA career.
Another uppercut gets through by Morris.
Morris has no fear of Charles Williams right now, none. No usually means yes in this case when that low kick got through.
Yeah, I thought it was low. I think Morris just said, I don't need the break. Williams is going to have to get inside, get to the legs, get to the body, try to grapple this one down.
Well, you see, he's going backwards. to figure out the puzzle.
And backwards is generally the one direction the shorter man cannot go.
Why?
Well, he's got to come inside. And the best way to get inside, and we saw Daniel Cormier do it a week ago, step. You can talk about head movement and bobbing and weaving and dealing with the jab. You can talk about that, and those are good things. The other option you can do is what Cormier did. Take a step forward. Now all of a sudden I'm inside. And if the opponent takes a step back, you're going to have to do it again. But if he doesn't, you're there.
Look at the history that the Scott Coker Strikeforce roster has made. Look at what Daniel Cormier did last weekend. Pretty impressive. Morris has slowed down.
He has, but he did start off awful fast.
Is he just looking for the one big shot now?
And I think Morris is also aware, hey, Williams is the one that has to come in. I'll play this game all day. You stay 6 inches too far out of range to hit me, and I'm where I can hit you anytime. This is all right. Morris again gets across, and then now Williams is coming in. Now he's back up.
Morris dropping his hands here. Not as aggressive. Until now.
Good outside leg kick by Morris.
Speaking of Daniel Cormier, Mike Pop's latest heavyweight prospect, Ernest James, going to open things up. Against part of Team Fedor, Valentin Moldavsky to open up our main card at heavyweight, top of the hour. When Mike Pop starts talking up heavyweight prospects, when you consider the guys he has had, you listen.
Williams is going to need to change strategy. In between rounds, I hope he gets that advice, and I trust that he will. I'm not the only one seeing it. He is simply too far away from his target to touch it. Fight. Right now, Williams goes backwards. We're going to know he didn't learn anything between rounds.
He's trying to make him go backwards, and a leg kick like that will do it.
Oh. That was his biggest leg kick of the fight. Really connected with the shin bone to the thigh on that one. Williams checked that a little bit. I like Morris's feints. They're very fluid, they're very good. They make his opponent Williams react.
You saw that in the opening seconds. It was the first thing you saw in this fight.
I believe he has found his target of the round.
Taking away that base. Charles Williams, he's struggling staying on his feet right now comfortably.
There's a rule in a fight, if something works, you just keep going back to it with the belief that your opponent cannot correct it on the fly. And we're really starting to see that now with Morris and this outside leg kick.
We're starting to see it, we're starting to hear it.
Knee to the body and a break by Morris, smart. No reason to be clinched up here.
I mean, the crowd is gasping at every one of these shots.
Yeah, I would like to give Williams his shine. He's certainly in shape. He's certainly a tough guy. He just hasn't mounted enough offense. to be able to do it, Sean. And the reason is he hasn't been in range. He is just simply too far away. And that's hard. It's very hard when you take on a guy as long as Morris. In this weight class, you don't have a lot of training partners. You don't have a lot of experience with it. It's something you must learn on the fly. But it is proving to be a real obstacle for Williams.
If you saw the first 2 minutes of this fight, you'd be surprised that Charles Williams is still here in minute 13.
I think an outside leg kick is coming.
Morris didn't see that one coming.
No, Williams got one through, didn't he? There wasn't a follow-up there, but there was a little opportunity. It slips by Morris.
Yeah, the footwork is really good. He's very polished for his fourth pro fight. You could say he's been methodical. He's also been patient, which is, again, sort of beyond his experience. Walking Williams down. Cutting off the cage. You're the corner calling for that feint.
Williams not showing much of an interest, not only to get inside, but not showing much of an interest to try to get this to the ground. He tried in the first. Morris sprawled so well. Perhaps it frustrated him. Perhaps Williams felt something that we weren't able to see in terms of a leverage.
He's feeling that left leg right now.
Yep, another great kick. Sets it up with a feint. Makes Williams think he's going to punch. Boom. Comes down low. Morris is a skilled fighter here. We haven't seen him deal with much adversity in this particular fight. Walking him down again.
Will Morris has never felt threatened. He's been unconcerned. When a leg kick forces your hands to drop, it did some damage. Best shot of the fight, but Williams pays a price for it.
Yes, he did. Good sweep there by Morris. Got it to the ground. Tried to keep him there. Williams back up to his feet. I can give whatever corrections I want, but not to Williams' effort. He stayed in that fight.
Michael C. Williams makes this one official.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the decision, we'll go to your judges' scorecards. At cage side, your first judge, Dan Mathieson, scores the fight 30-25. Judge David Sutherland scores it 30-27. And your third and final judge, Tim Tallchief, scores it 30-26. All have it for the winner by unanimous decision. Still undefeated, Will the Blue Chip Morris.
Living up to the nickname and an impressive one-way performance for Will Morris, staying undefeated.
Look, you can't help but notice the records here, and while they're a little bit different, they're still both very good. And also, I got to look at the weight. I mean, we've got about 30 pounds there. That's going to favor James Ernst. However, is that going to make him a little slower? Let's find out.
A landmark weekend for Bellator MMA has arrived, and a night that ends with a featherweight world title fight begins as always with Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome live on Paramount Network. Miller Lite presents Bellator MMA. From WinStar World Casino and Resort, the action begins now with 3 5-minute rounds in the heavyweight division. Brought to you by Boost Mobile. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save. And now, first introducing the blue corner. At 6'3", weighing in 261.1 pounds, his professional record early on stands at 1-0. He fights out of Fresno, California, presenting Ernest James. And across the cage, his adversary tonight, fighting out of the red corner at 6'1", weighing in 232.9 pounds. As a professional, he brings 7 victories, just 1 defeat. He fights out of Stariovsko, Russia. Introducing Valentin Moldavsky. And the referee in charge of the action, Michael Bell.
First round, you ready, Ernest? You ready, Valentin? Fight!
The fight clock in the opener brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories. This is a big moment for a guy in his second pro fight to open the show under the bright lights, but that's how highly Mike Pop, a legendary name in the sport, thinks of his latest heavyweight prospect, Ernest James.
Oh, James with a good leg kick.
What's the first thing, Chael, you're looking for when you see a young fighter for the first time?
I'm looking for their range. Can you step into range? Do you know that? Can you do that geometry on the fly? Can you hit a moving target? Because what's that going to tell me, Sean, is have you prepared? Have you sparred? Do you have the experience? And while people love to see that in ring, I also love to see it, and I understand the importance of it from the practice room. And it comes down to range. Can you touch your target?
Talking to Valentin Moldavsky the other day, and he's, Russian fighters are very much not affected by anything, and certainly he's been on the big stage. He was in the Ryzen Grand Prix at Saitama nearly 3 years ago, one of his first pro fights. So he's been on the big stage before, so the only time he's ever been nervous is when he met Fedor for the first time.
Watch your heads, guys, watch your heads.
Talking about range, both of these guys are throwing some air balls here. They're not quite touching their target, and that's okay. It's early in the fight. They're still feeling each other out a little bit, but that is something that they're going to need to adjust by stepping forward. Maybe they disguise that behind a jab, maybe it's a slip, but either way, they've got to come together a little bit more.
Ernest James, Brooklyn-born, New York State wrestling champion, and ended up at Edinburgh, one of the great wrestling programs where he became friends with Chris Honeycutt. And it was a phone call to Chris Honeycutt that lured him out to Fresno and started this MMA career. You see, obviously, the left eye, an issue here for Ernest James.
Yeah, he's wincing that. I don't know if he's got something in it or if he took a big shot. I trust it was a shot. Here they are locked up, though. If Moldavsky doesn't want to be here, he's got to clear out of this position.
Let's go, gentlemen, let's work. Action.
Nothing good comes from hanging out in a position you don't want to be in. James with a knee pick. Gets blocked, back to the over-under. Oh, Moldavsky goes down. If he can get those hips. He didn't quite get his hands locked underneath the hips. He was a little bit high.
That was a bold undertaking pretty early in the fight.
Let's go, gentlemen. Action. Work.
6 pro wins for Valentin Moldavsky. 3 by submission, 3 by decision.
Oh, keep it up. Keep it up.
So like his idol, he likes to bring the fight to the ground. A little left as he steps back. But you hear Mike Pop talk about Ernest James, and remember, when you're talking about Mike Pop, some people call him the heavyweight whisperer. We're talking about Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez. So you listen when he speaks highly about a prospect.
James here's in this over-under position. He talked about his college wrestling days. It's a very common position for wrestlers to be in, but he's not doing a lot with it. He's not off-balancing his opponent. He did look for one knee pick earlier. I would just encourage him to do something with this, and both of these guys have their hips back a little bit, which fighters don't usually like to be in that spot because it opens their body up for knees. In this case, neither the red or the blue corner has lifted one of those knees up to the midsection.
In the corner of Moldavsky is Vadim Nemkov, another one team Fedor. Good shots from Moldavsky. Last time we saw Nemkov, he blew up the knee of the former light heavyweight world champion Liam McGeary. putting his name on the list at 205. So much going on in Bellator these days as we prepare for the welterweight Grand Prix. So much conversation about who's going to be in it. Announcement coming up later tonight about the semifinals of the heavyweight Grand Prix, which has the attention of my partner tonight. Moldavsky getting the attention of Ernest James here as this round moves on.
Sean, I think both these guys early on felt each other's power. I think they both respected the other one's power because they've both been a little bit hesitant. Moldavsky going after it.
Best shot of the round comes late for Moldavsky. Big finish. The third member of our broadcast team and the class of the outfit, Jen Brown.
Thanks, Sean. Hey, Chris Honeycutt obviously has a very impressive wrestling pedigree, but he says tonight he wants to showcase his boxing ability. He says he doesn't want to be that typical wrestler that just takes guys down to the ground, beats them up. He wants to do that, but maybe he wants to get back up and he wants to let his hands go. Tonight against Leite, he says he's looking for that highlight reel knockout. Now, Leite said he's expecting it to go to the ground, and when it does, he says he's got the advantage. Either way, though, they both said they are ready for a war, Sean.
Fascinating clash in styles coming up next at 185. Leo Leite and Chris Honeycutt. Chris Honeycutt's college buddy, Ernest James. A reality check here on the big stage against a far more experienced fighter in round one.
Sean, I don't love dead air, but I don't really know what to say. These guys, they're just too far out.
I just wanted to see how long you were going to let it go. That's a chance on the record right there.
Hey, Moldavsky, when he wants to step in, he's got some power, and he does seem to find that range, but he's jumping in a little bit. You know, you talk about his teammate Fedor. I've been watching a lot of Fedor films lately, but that's what Fedor does so well is he jumps in. Moldavsky is forced to do that. He's forced to do that because James is just staying too far out. Moldavsky's had good luck with it. He's got away with it. He hasn't had to pay for it yet. James needs to offer him some level of offense here.
Anatoly Tokov, part of Team Fedor, and Nemkov and Valentin Moldavsky. If two guys share the same coach, does that make them No, you know what? Let's probably not do that one.
Let's go, gentlemen. Let's work. Action.
Ernest James. You can laugh. You can laugh with me if you want.
My friend, that was brilliant.
I got goaded into doing that all
Go,
day,
gentlemen,
as you can
action.
imagine.
Oh, little shot there.
The moment for Ernest James comes now when, well, this has never happened. I'm in a situation now I have never been in before, and then how do you react?
Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of that. And I don't know if because his eye got closed there, you know, that last round I was saying I couldn't tell if his eye was closing or if he had something in his eye. It clearly was a big shot that did that. There's the shot. Now, we've kind of been waiting all night for James to come in for that shot. Looks like he's going to miss it here. Moldavsky doing a good job digging that underhook and then reversing position, putting James's back against the fence. Even though they're in an even position here, in the eyes of the judges, and this is an unspoken rule, an unwritten rule, if you will, whoever's back is against the fence is losing the position. So it's important for athletes to always trade position and make sure
Go, gentlemen. Let's work.
opponent is
Action.
up against the cage.
Let's go, gentlemen. Let's work.
You okay with that warning here from Mike Bell? Or is there maybe work going on we don't appreciate?
Yeah, when they're clinched up and they're out there trying, I have always found that peculiar. Whose job is it to decide? And again, when you defer back to the rules, I don't know anywhere in the rules where that's the referee's place. But I could be wrong. I simply don't know.
So far in this fight, you've left dead air, which is the first for Gerald, and then you just said you might be wrong.
Hey, I was being polite. I'm well aware of what those rules are. And no, it is not the referee's job.
Good shot. Ernest James has been with Chris Honeycutt. He's been with the phenom Ed Ruth, but everybody just talks glowingly about Ed Ruth. One of our topics tonight is going to be that upcoming welterweight Grand Prix and who the mystery man's going to be, because the first 6-7 spots are pretty obvious. Is Ed Ruth ready to jump up?
I just feel like you know something, Sean. I got to tell you.
Well, I'll tell you what we didn't know that we know now. We saw Yaroslav Amosov on the prelims, dominate the veteran Gerald Harris to go to 20-0. And that may be a name now that's on the list at 170. Already one of, if not the deepest division in the sport, certainly at the tip top.
Yeah, he was certainly impressive there. Oh, James takes another shot. I think James is having a hard time seeing him here.
We saw another shot right on the button. Ernest James, his hand is saying level change, but his head is scrambled right now. He's in big trouble. Moldavsky pouring it on, and it's over.
Wow, that kind of came out of nowhere, and I will tell you, you can attribute that final sequence to the swollen and closed eye of James.
Let's check out the replay presented by Blackheart Premium Spice Rum, the bold 93 proof rum. It's edgy to the core. The eyes were already closing.
Sean, before I get to the sequence of attacks here, notice what side it's on. It's on the left side, and James is just not able to see it, is my guess, is my perception. I think it intimidated and scared him. But in addition, Moldavsky was able to get these shots through. That's the only one that came to the middle. Everything else here comes from that damaged left side. And you can tell by James's reaction, which is next to nothing. He's almost not covering, he's almost not flinching, he's not moving, he's not circling. It's because he could not see it coming.
Very early in the fight, he took a shot to that eye. It was closed, and Moldavsky then finished the show. He goes to 7-1. We'll make it official next. Early next year, there will be a new champion out of the heavyweight Grand Prix in Bellator, but the next generation is coming right behind it. Valentin Moldavsky, very impressive, going to 7-1, 2-0 in Bellator. Michael C. Williams makes it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage, referee Michael Bell steps in, waves off the contest officially. 4 minutes, 3 seconds into round number 2. The winner by TKO, Valentin Moldavsky.
Another win for Team Fedor. It belongs to Valentin Moldavsky, and the rising prospect at heavyweight is with Chael Sonnen.
Congratulations, I'm here with your winner, Valentin Moldavsky. How did it feel tonight? It looked like maybe a little bit of a slow start, maybe dealing with his size, am I right?
I know English a little bit, that's why I say in beginning fight, very hard, he biggest with me, that's why I learning him. And then second round, I understand I must beat and overfight.
Well, let me ask you one more question, which is just simply, who do you have your eye on next?
I don't know this Scott Coker questions. I don't know. I will fight every fighter who give me.
Well, fair enough. We will ask those questions of Scott Coker, but for tonight, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, Valentin Moldavsky.
A well-deserved ovation. Big one at 185. The tail of the tape brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
And the age stands out. 40 years to Leite, 29 to Honeycutt. Well, Honeycutt's inexperience cost him here tonight.
Live on Paramount Network, Bellator MMA, presented by Miller Lite, now moves to the middleweight division set for 3 5-minute rounds. Introducing the blue corner, at 6'1", weighing in 184.3 pounds. His professional record, 10 wins, just a single defeat, fighting out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, presenting Leite. And across the cage, his adversary, fighting out of the red corner, at 5'10", weighing in 185.6 pounds as a professional. 10 victories, 2 defeats. He fights out of Fresno, California, introducing Chris the Cut Honeycutt. In charge of the action, your referee, Jaron Villel.
The clash of styles upon which this sport was founded will be on display here. The wrestler, the world champion Jiu-Jitsu player, and Olympic judoka. Fight Clock brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories. Leite in the blue gloves, his Bellator debut. Talk about a road game. How to fight Phil Davis at Penn State on short notice. suffered his first MMA defeat as a result.
Honeycutt said, and he didn't make any secret about this, he went right to the media with it. He said, I want to use my hands in this fight. I tend to believe him. I think that his ground and pound would be okay, but I do tend to believe him that he does want to use those hands, and I don't know that it's a bad idea. Phil Davis had good luck getting some good strikes in before he ultimately went to the takedowns, but I think that might be the blueprint that Honeycutt studied.
Chris Honeycutt came roaring out of the gate as a pro, undefeated. 3 years ago, went into that fight with Paul Bradley. He was winning that fight at Mohegan Sun, clash of heads, stopped it. And in the rematch, he tried to pick up where he left off and got careless with those hands and got knocked out in the first round. That was the first setback. And the second, the last loss he's coming off of against Rafael Lovato. Speaking of BJJ, maybe the all-time greatest American.
And regardless of the outcome of that fight, we can at least all tip our hat to the fact that it was razor thin.
Yep.
Sean, I mean, that was a very, very close contest.
And he learned it. The lesson he learned was don't let it go to the judges and don't walk the final lap.
Yeah. Ooh, uppercut there by Honeycutt, just missed. Leite firing back. Yeah, there was something about Honeycutt with his interviews revealing his game plan that I believed him. I thought, you know what, he's telling the truth. He's the first guy to ever reveal his game plan with no gamesmanship.
Honeycutt very aggressive at the start, slips.
This would be a surprise if Leite can drag him to the ground. It would be a surprise. Honeycutt looking to get that arm.
Look at that trip.
That's judo. He's throwing a leg
the hooks in.
Now this is the same way that Honeycutt chose to defend Lovato. He stood up to his feet and leaned on the fence. We stayed here for a meaningful period of time. But please,
he looks like he's waiting for the bus.
Yeah, that's right. Please do not think that Honeycutt is going to change his style or change his strategy of defense here just for a crowd's reaction. He's trying to protect his neck. Give him a little room to work. Give him a little time here. But it is unusual. We usually see guys on the mat trying to slip their shoulders to one side or the other, get their back, looking to do what we call shrimp out. Honeycutt did the same thing against Lovato. He sprung to his feet and then went right over to the fence.
At some point, is it simply not counterproductive to have another 185 pounds on your back?
Yeah, that's right. Really unusual. Honeycutt used some elbows to the thigh there, and it worked. Leite said, you know what? My legs are getting tired. There's that trip again. And that's the judo. Judo has had a very questionable and limited amount of success in this sport, but we do see those trips. Ronda Rousey comes to mind. Now Honeycutt able to get that underhook. Next thing he wants to do here is either spin and break free or trade positions, meaning put his opponent's back up against the fence, and he does it.
I asked Leo Leite, why did you walk away from judo when he did? He said it was too hard. They're constantly working, and he showed me his hands. You're not going to see them there with the gloves, but you could just see the battering. You know, a cauliflower ear is nothing compared to the hands of a judoka who's been doing it for many, many years at the highest level. Talked about Mario Sperry. He also split a pair. BJJ matches with Fabricio Verdum. World Cup.
Well, we got a win over Verdum in BJJ. I did not know that. That is meaningful.
Leo, fingers out of that cage.
If I can come up with one thing that you didn't know in 2 hours, that's a good night.
I'll tell you what, I didn't know that. That means a lot to me, though. And I wouldn't have thought he'd have Verdum because of the size. He must have gone up to an open division. Here, they're trading.
This is what Honeycutt wanted to do. He's, as Jen told you earlier, flirting with boxing. There's a good knee that Honeycutt sneaks in. Been a good round for Chris Honeycutt.
Now, this is one of the adjustments that Leite is going to need to make in this fight. He keeps allowing his back to go up against the fence. And while perhaps neither has an advantage physically here, in the eyes of the judges, you do not want your back against the fence. Leite is really letting him fly, though. I give Honeycutt credit, but I got to give the same to Leite here. He is throwing with bad intent.
Leite says, I'm 40, but with everything I've been through, I'm more like 45, 46 in my body, but he hangs in there. Good first round, though, for Chris Honeycutt.
Hey, gentlemen. Up, Leo. Leo, hey, look at me, control, yes? Okay.
A lot of you have your devices in front of you. Check out BellatorShop.com. Find new official Bellator MMA gear, Kimbo Slice bobbleheads. Those are pretty cool. And much more. Again, BellatorShop.com. 10-9 Honeycutt.
I think so. I thought it was some good exchanges there. I did think Honeycutt went out and implemented the game plan that he disclosed to the world ahead of time, but he did use those hands. I never really saw him go for a takedown, but I must say that Leite had a couple of takedowns with those trips, and that could influence the judges, though I did give it to Honeycutt.
Talked about Bustamante, talked about Fabricio Verdum, some legendary names that have been connected with Leo Leite. Coming out of his first MMA fight, he had gotten leg kicked to death. And so who did he go to see? Pedro Hizo. Knows a little bit, who I would think knows more about administering them than recovering from them, but I imagine you have to know both.
Boy, he was special. Pedro Hizo was a special fighter, particularly when it did come to those leg kicks. Honeycutt doing a good job with the pressure here. I thought this was maybe one correction or even a weakness I could give to Leite in the first round, and his fight with Phil Davis. He didn't have the same output. He was going back more than he was coming forward. Small criticism, but it's a close contest, and I think that right now it's making the difference.
He was a step slower than Honeycutt on his feet.
Some great knees there. Leite went for another trip. Honeycutt stepped outside of it. Honeycutt's got the back. He's using the score. Leite up to the feet. Very good grappling by Leite. I didn't know that he would try to scramble to the feet. I thought he would pull guard. Excellent strategy and very good on the technique.
Chris Honeycutt at his best when he was dominant early in his career was a bully. Chris Honeycutt. We're starting to see a little bit of that.
Honeycutt going back to that knee again, dropping an elbow in there. Seeing a lot of new skills.
Wash heads.
And Chris tonight, go back to the knee again. Surprised Leite doesn't pop his head up and drive his hips in.
He's turning the tables. It's so quick, and he clipped Leite with a couple of those shots.
Oh, Honeycutt brings his shin over the arm. Over the left arm of Leite. I don't know if you guys can see it at home. That arm
There it is.
What we call that is killing the arm. That arm right now is killed. It can't be in use. And right now, Honeycutt is on top of essentially a one-arm fighter until Leite can get that back. It's very hard to do. Maybe at home thing, why does he just pull it out? Well, that doesn't quite work that way. There he finally wiggles it through. And Honeycutt scoring all the while.
Methodical, bullying, tough, strong. This is Chris Honeycutt at his best. You don't need a scorecard to know who's winning this fight.
Yeah, good position. I mean, Honeycutt can stay here all day. Ref will leave him alone because he's in side control. Drop a couple of elbows here or there. He's looking to bring that shin over the arm and pin it down again, and he succeeded now. There, Leite using an underhook. Oh, he took his own underhook out. That underhook is the first step to standing up. He'll go to an underhook and get his opposite hip down. He took the underhook out, which means he's not planning to stand up. And I would think this would be a position you'd want to stand up from.
There are moments, Leite, where there are ways he'd wanted this fight on the ground. This is not one of them.
It is very different when you have an all-American wrestler on top of you. It's just a different feel. The sport of wrestling at the collegiate level is rewarded if you can keep a man down. And those wrestlers have hips and they have control, and you're starting to see some of that right now. Honeycutt's only got a couple of options from here. He can either pull him off the fence or he can start to strike a little bit. I would suggest knees to the body. Good call. But look at this pressure. I mean, just grinding and shoving it right into that fence. Randy Couture used to call it a cheese grater.
He is ragdolling Leite here in round two. This is what everybody has been waiting to see from Chris Honeycutt.
Yeah, and this is the position that's really cost Leite in this fight, is he has used that fence to keep himself up. But judges look at that. Honeycutt knows your options are very limited, but I've got a lot.
Freeze!
I can move every direction. You can't move any direction. Breaking the action there. What happened? Was it a mouthpiece issue?
Didn't seem like one.
All right, either way. Stop and start. Honeycutt just using that underhook, still driving him in, raising that knee up. I mean, it's rinse and repeat. It's like we've rewound the tape to a minute ago, but when you find something that works, you stick with it.
Level change.
I think Leite's legs were a little too slippery at this point in the fight.
It's about the only thing that didn't work in this round for Chris Honeycutt. Dominant with his hands in round one, dominant with the knees in round two. Chris Honeycutt putting on a show through 10 minutes. Fists and knees.
Good job, Leo. Good job, Chris. All the way
Leo
up.
Leite, who bounced out of the locker room with so much energy on his way to the cage. And you can see what 10 minutes in there with
Good job,
the
gentlemen.
terrier that Chris Honeycutt has been here has done to him. How close were you on a 10-8 in round two?
You know, I wasn't really there. I thought that Honeycutt had some good moments, but not quite enough of them when he had him pinned up against the fence. I've got it 10-9, both rounds to Honeycutt, but I'll tell you, I'm not bullish on that. The first round was very close. The second was clear, but the first round was very, very close. I've got no problem with the way Leite fights other than his output. I feel that he could be a little bit faster and he could pressure the fight a little bit more, and I don't just offer you that in this Honeycutt fight, but I would give the same comment after his fight with Phil Davis. He was just a little bit more reactionary.
Honeycutt much quicker on the ground. Leite had an idea, but Honeycutt took it away from him quickly.
Leite's still working though, he's still moving. His options are a little more limited here. I know he likes to stand up, but he also uses the fence to do that. Right here, there in the center of the cage, going to be a little bit more difficult.
We are headed towards a world title fight tonight, the second title defense of the dominant world champion Julia Budd against another BJJ world champion Talita Nogueira. But up next, it might be the fight steals the weekend. Eduardo Dantas, the former bantamweight world champion, and Mayday Michael McDonald with high stakes. Darian Caldwell on top of the bantamweight world here in Bellator. It's going to be a fun fight. This has not been a fun 15 minutes for Leo Leite.
Wash your fingers, yep.
Watch the early Chris Honeycutt fights, 2014, 2015, and granted it wasn't competition at the level of Leite, but he was just
I need you to work, gentlemen.
Yeah, he's a rough guy. Look, he was in college wrestling too. He was rough and tumble in front of everything else. He just as soon hurt you, score a point on you. And right here, notice his position. See where his head is, Sean, in comparison to Leite. See how it's all the way up high? There's just no submissions that he's susceptible for at this point. Leite needs Honeycutt's whole body to either move back or Leite needs to move his forward in this case. But from this position, there's just no techniques that are created that are going to be a problem for Honeycutt.
So you know how difficult it is to get towards a national championship in wrestling. Chris Honeycutt twice had a 2-point lead in a national championship match against Cam Siemens of Cornell. And it just haunts him having that lead and giving it away in the final period. Really.
It's not going to go away. I'd love to say something that Honeycutt can hear. It's not going to make him feel any better. That is the life of a competitor. There's ups, but there are downs, and he's sharing one of the big downs with you. He missed his dream, and he had the lead. It's just the reality. But I think it's also why that guy that beat him, Cam, is retired, and Honeycutt is performing in front of us now. He's still chasing the reward.
Moments. The guy we're talking about all weekend, Daniel Weischer, will get his second shot at Patricio Pitbull. So close, inches from the world title in St. Louis. 2015, had to wait 3 years for the rematch, which you will get tomorrow here on Paramount Network. From Rome, outdoors, in the shadows of the Coliseum, two great gladiators. Looking forward to seeing Andrei Koreshkov back in the Bellator cage as well. 170 is just ridiculous. That welterweight Grand Prix is going to be spectacular.
I still feel like you're holding out on me. I really do think that someone's told you something.
Or maybe I'm just making you think that. That's the thing, so you don't know.
No, I don't know. I do not know. I'll get to the bottom of it before the show's over. I have a feeling.
It's almost like fantasy booking. You can sort of list your guy. You can figure out top welterweights.
Honeycutt just keeps finding his knee, by the way. That right knee, he just keeps finding it.
And now he's got Leite pinned against the fence.
I'm not even convinced that his setup or his technique is as good as he just seeing the opening and raising it up.
Grounded. Back leg.
We've seen this position before. If Honeycutt can keep Leite's head below his butt, Leite is not going to move. Leite can drop his hips and raise his head up, he can come to his feet. Until then, Honeycutt will do nothing different.
There were some competitive moments in this fight early with Leo Leite executing a couple of very effective trips. But for the most part, this was one-way traffic and the kind of dominant win that Chris Honeycutt really needed.
Exactly the sound they both wanted to hear all night long. Dominant or not, this was a war for both of them.
Great. Amazing fight, gentlemen.
Full marks for Leo Leite, boy. At age 40, he sees the final bell. Let's check out the replay. Brought to you by Blackheart Premium Spice Rum, the bold 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core.
Oh, Honeycutt with some good strikes here. Honeycutt marching forward, though. Marching forward, pushing him into that fence, and then just grinding away. Just striking, being mean, being nasty, being pressureful. Using that college wrestling, using that determination.
Pressureful might be the word of the night to describe that performance by Chris Honeycutt. We'll make it official next. Chris Honeycutt wanted that breakthrough performance. He wanted to get back on track, head towards the top at 185. It looked like a dominant performance. Michael C. Williams will tell us if it really was.
Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance, we'll go to your three judges. At cage side, all three judges, Dan Mathieson, David Sutherland, Don Turnage, all score the fight exactly the same, 30-25. All have it for the winner by unanimous decision, Chris "The Cut" Honeycutt.
3:30-25 is about the closest thing you can get to dominance without getting a stoppage. He goes to 11-2 and continues to climb the list at 185. The tail of the tape and a big fight in the bantamweight division, brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
Listen, these guys are so close. I mean, you go up and down this thing, you're talking about 2 and 3 inches in tenths of pounds. I mean, look, it's straight down the middle. There's nothing left to do but the fight.
Bellator MMA, presented by Miller Lite, now features tonight's co-main event, 3 5-minute rounds in the bantamweight division. And now, live on Paramount Network, we introduce the blue corner. At 5'8", weighing in 135.6 pounds, coming off his successful debut inside the Bellator cage. Tonight, he stands with 18 professional victories, 4 defeats. Fighting out of Modesto, California, presenting Michael "Mayhem" McDonald. And across the cage, his adversary, fighting out of the red corner, at 5'7", weighing in 135.5 pounds, the two-time former Bellator Bantamweight World Champion enters tonight with 20 professional victories, 5 defeats. Fighting out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, introducing the Eduardo Dantas. In charge of the action, your referee, Jacob Montalvo.
A fight fans fight.
Ready, round 1, fight.
The fight clock brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories.
Finally, Sean, I have been waiting for this one. Oh, McDonald starts it off with a kick that lands with almost no setup. He just threw it out there and chopped his leg.
So we haven't had a lot of chance to talk about it, but where do you stand on the very unique, I mean, Michael McDonald, a lot of guys, well, I'm not a big tape guy. He is just vehemently opposed to that kind of preparation.
Hey, I'll tell you what, the world has changed because now we have film. You remember the days that you only heard about the Jack Johnsons and the boxing days where a guy could hold that heavyweight title for 10 years. That doesn't happen anymore, and the reason it doesn't happen is now we can study one another. I think that is a tool missed. Though I'm not questioning McDonald, I'm just pointing out it is unique.
I asked Arian, big shot from McDonald, and Dantas in some trouble early. Scrambling to cover up. McDonald pulling it on, and it's over. It's over. Michael McDonald, a stunning knockout in the opening minute of Eduardo Dantas.
Wow. Listen, Sean,
He came out and threw a kick, did McDonald, with no setup. He threw a straight cross with no setup. He put absolutely everything into it. Dantas went down and he swarmed him.
A spectacular finish. Eduardo Dantas protested, but it won't matter. The leg kick threw him off, and he never recovered from the big shot from Michael McDonald.
Broke it. Horrible.
Wow. Let's check out the replay presented by Black Card Premium Spice Rum, the bold 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core.
So to heck with the feeling out process, then McDonald comes over the top. Look at that swarm. Oh my goodness. It's like we put the tape on fast forward. Look how fast these punches are. I can't even count them. About 12 to 15 got through. The ref stepped in. Here, we got to slow it down just so we can call this thing. He sets it up with a teep to the body. He then brings his jab hand, turns it into his power hand, and just swarms the former champion. Dantas, to his credit, I mean, there's no quit in the guy. He's trying to get up the entire time. He simply cannot. And I realize that Dantas is arguing that call. When he sees the replay, you will see what we saw, Sean. That was a very appropriate stoppage.
Just the second time in 26 fights, Eduardo Dantas has been stopped. The other, a very similar flash knockout loss that he suffered. Michael McDonald makes a huge impact. Corner Cam brought to you by Boost Mobile. Easy to switch, easy to save. Things happen fast. Michael McDonald has knocked out Eduardo Dantas. We're going to show you what really happened and why they're tending to the right ankle of Eduardo Dantas. If you are squeamish, let me warn you ahead of time to look away. If you're not, watch the right ankle of Dantas. After the jab from McDonald knocks him down, Dantas is going to fall back on that ankle, and right there, the crowd is just seeing the replay for the first time. It goes back to Madison Square Garden last year, Michael Chandler and Brent Primus. We have seen it before, and so you see why Dantas, it looked like on the surface as we watched it, it was a great shot from McDonald. You'll see McDonald reacting to it almost, and then steps by. Now this is McDonald seeing it right there on the replay as we showed it, both to you and everybody here in the building. Michael McDonald seeing what happened for the first time. It's amazing how many things can happen in such a short period of time. In the meantime, it is a big win for Michael McDonald, and Michael C. Williams will make it official.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage, the end comes. 58 seconds into round number 1. The winner by knockout, Michael Mayhem McDonald.
Is Michael McDonald the #1 contender now for Darian Caldwell? He's with Chael Sonnen.
All right, congratulations to the winner, Michael McDonald. So we just saw the replay. Turned out your opponent had fallen backwards, his ankle twisted. Did you know that happened in the fight?
No, that's a horrible. I would never hope that for anybody, man. That's could be a career-ending injury. So I feel kind of bad. I didn't try to, but I feel bad for the guy. That sucks horribly.
Now, I do have to ask you about yourself as well. You were coming off a hand injury that was well documented. You swarmed him. You used that hand. Did you re-break or injure your hand?
You know, man, I'm just gonna. I broke my left hand, not my right hand. I can feel it. I broke this hand, and I honestly think that I hit a little too hard for my body frame, and I think I know this is broken. I know that's gonna need surgery. I don't know how long I keep doing this if I keep breaking my body every fight. I love my job, but first off, before I say anything, my older brother, Justin Smitley, can beat me up any day of the week, and he's right here. He's one of the greatest fighters in the world. We gotta see him here, guys. If you like fighters like me, you'll love fighters like him.
We do like fighters like you, and I will look forward to seeing a fighter like him, but I've got to ask you, because Scott Coker is in Italy right now watching. James Gallagher has been stated to possibly be the next title contender. Do you care to make your case to the world?
I don't even know what's gonna happen right now. I just want to get healthy, man. I really do. I want to get home to my wife. I've spent a lot of time away from my family. I've given a lot of my life. I want to get healthy. I want to go home to my wife, to my church, and to my family.
Always a class act. Ladies and gentlemen, here with your winner, Michael Mayday McDonald.
title, brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
Yeah, you look at this thing up and down. Look, you got a little bit of a height advantage, and with a height advantage generally comes a reach advantage, but not the case here. Not the case here tonight. You've got an undefeated record from Nogueira, but you got a little bit more experience for Julia Budd.
Main event time, world title time, Michael C. Williams time.
Ladies and gentlemen, live on Paramount Network, Miller Lite presents Bellator MMA from WinStar World Casino and Resort. The time has come for the main event of the evening. 5-minute rounds for the Bellator Women's Featherweight World Championship. Sanctioned by the Chickasaw Nation Office of the Gaming Commissioner, Mr. Scott Colbert. Tonight's world title fight brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories. And now, introducing the blue corner first. At 5'10", weighing in 144.3 pounds. Tonight, in her first world title fight, she stands undefeated at 7-0. She fights out of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Introducing the challenger, Talita Nogueira. And across the cage, the champion tonight fights out of the red corner. At 5'8", weighing in 144.1 pounds. Tonight, in her second title defense, she enters with 11 professional victories, 2 defeats. From Port Moody, British Columbia, Canada, presenting the defending Bellator Women's Featherweight World Champion, Julia the Jewel Budd. And when the bell rings, the referee in charge of the action, Jason Herzog.
Third time for Jason Herzog refereeing a Julia Budd fight.
There were no final questions from you, Red. No final questions from you, Blue. Go to your corners. Come out ready to touch. Let's fight.
How many more worlds are there for Julia Budd to conquer? We're about to find out.
Next round, fight, are you ready? Fight, are you ready? Fight!
The fight clock in the main event brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste and only 96 calories. The million-dollar question. Can Nogueira get her to the ground? But if she does, can she do what she needs to do with Julia Budd on the ground against a world-class grappler?
And see, that's the thing. If she gets her to the ground, now let's speculate. Will she get her there early while she's dry, before she's slippery? If she gets her to the ground, is she going to use too much energy getting her there? And Julia's going to be able to scramble up. We're going to have to see those things. But let's not forget, as recently as last week, we were reminded, when the great wrestler takes on the great striker, often the script gets flipped. The striker has got to be prepared at all times, knowing that what's good for the goose in terms of the rules is still good for the gander.
Just got the update on Eduardo Dantas. Chris Honeycutt with an impressive win tonight. Special start time, 8 o'clock tomorrow night from Rome. As Patricio Pitbull and Daniel Weichel try to top that instant classic they had at the Scott Trade Center in St. Louis in 2015.
All right, we've got one strike thrown between two competitors. It was for Julia Budd. It was a power leg kick to the leg. It landed. I will tell you, historically, our champ is usually pumping a lot more jabs in the first 90 seconds of the fight. It feels like there's a definite feeling out process. Perhaps Nogueira is giving her a look. It's confusing her for right now.
Wild leg kick from Nogueira. A lot of Nogueira stuff is wild. You wouldn't call her a polished MMA fighter. There's a great contrast in the two of them that way. Nogueira's kind of all over the place. Julia Budd disciplined. At moments in her career, confidence issues we've talked about. There was a moment I talked to her about it the other day when we were watching her fight in a fight in which she should have won easily. And you say, boy, sometimes Julia Budd just forgets that she's Julia Budd. And that she is that good.
Yeah, no, that's right. And so many times you want to convince an athlete how great they are to take what they perceive as an obstacle, a mental block out of the way. Sometimes you do that and you realize, wait a minute, that little bit of doubt is what served as the motivation, as the drive, as the preparation. So you have to be very careful as a coach what you add, but you've also got to acknowledge what it is you remove. And I'm not sure that her self-doubt, and I would agree with you, it's a lack of awareness. She is better than she gives herself credit for, but I'm not sure that doubt doesn't seem to serve her.
How aware are you of the crowd when they are unhappy with what is happening or not happening in the fight?
Well, I've only heard from other fighters. Derek Lewis just recently, he said he was very aware of it. So I think that's a real thing for these athletes. They can definitely hear they usually have their ears trained on their coaches. There's a big takedown.
Big slam. Julia Budd took her time, waited for the second leg, and planted Talita Nogueira.
Nogueira said this is where she wants to be. Julia Budd said, fine, let's get there.
And this was the point. World-class grappling from Julia Budd.
Knees to the body are absolutely legal from this position. I'm surprised Julia has not thrown any yet. She looks to be settling her weight. Options here are elbows, submissions on the far arm, but again, a knee to the body is certainly a devastating strike.
This is where she put Marloes Kunin. One of the GOATs, one of the legends of the game.
No question. Marloes had a great career. I miss her. I miss seeing her in competition.
Speaking of moms now.
Look at Julia Budd's left knee. She's pinning it right on her opponent's hip. She's going to follow her with that knee. And as soon as she gets lazy with that knee, you're going to see Nogueira start to recover her guard. Oh, she's trapped the arm. I did not see that till now. Nogueira's going to have to move. She's sacrificing position, but she needs to. This is the right choice here by Nogueira.
Julia Budd takes the opportunity to try to get under the chin.
I don't think she has it, Sean. I think she's too far off to the side.
There's a veteran. She knew she didn't have it. The first time, it's more of a neck crank here.
I don't know that she's looking for a submission or she's just trying to protect her position, almost like defensive a takedown. She's trying to turn Nogueira's face away. She's succeeding at it.
A dominant round one for the champion once she got going, and she finishes strong.
Fight, are you ready? Fight, are you ready? Fight!
We talk about the two Julia Budds. We saw the confident world champion in round one.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Look, Nogueira said, don't you dare go to the ground with me. Julia said, oh, I'm going to the ground with you, all right. Managed to, I mean, if it was just straight jiu-jitsu rules, she managed to stay in side control. She certainly owned that aspect of it. And I think that's going to make her more confident here. I don't think she's going to waste as much time in this round. I think she knows where she wants to get this contest.
Everybody knows about the early losses to Ronda Rousey and Amanda Nunes. Good front kick from Nogueira. And, you know, when you talk to Julia about it now, she's grateful that those happened so early in her career. And I said to her, what, can you really learn something from a 16-second fight? She said, absolutely. Never let your guard down.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. Some people pack it in and they say, well, if the gap is this big, then I just don't belong. And other people say, no, I'm going to use that and I'm going to move forward. Julia is the latter. I'm still confused just slightly by what Nogueira's plan is here. She's referenced the ground. Generally, people talk about that. They talk about being on top, yet she has not attempted a takedown. She hasn't attempted a clinch.
And what happened in the 2 minutes when the fight was on the ground in the first round? That has to be in her head now, too.
That's right. And I would think that would be a positional issue where she's thinking, okay, let's go back to the ground, except now let's try me on top. But I don't know. I'm based on that because she influenced me with her pre-fight interviews. She hasn't attempted that yet. I don't have a problem with her not succeeding. It's a two-person sport. What I'm talking about, Shauna, she has not yet attempted to do that.
Julia Budd was just stalking her a minute ago, and that confidence is growing. No doubt about it. We don't talk about Jermaine Durandam. It's funny, we talk about the losses because they stand out because of who they were, but you don't talk about the wins, which is everybody else that she has fought.
Does she have a win over the Iron Lady?
She does.
You were right. I am guilty of what you just said. I knew her losses. I did not know she had beat the Iron Lady.
Most people do.
That is impressive.
And let's call it what it is. This is not a division chock full of worldwide contenders. Julia Budd has run the table here.
Yeah, she has. And Scott Coker gets a lot of credit, as he deserves, from the media and the fans for his building of his female divisions. Julia Budd is absolutely dominating this position. Look, she's got the underhook shot, but what you also need to notice, look where her head position is. She's now turning Nogueira's head away, and that's why Nogueira's not able to move from here. She's going to do it again on this. Oh, did it right there. Just lowered her head, put the forehead right on the cheekbone, and drive.
It's been a clinic for 8 minutes.
Oh, the head position. It takes discipline to do that. It looks easy the way but the discipline you have to drive your face into somebody else's non-stop, it is absolutely going to shut Nogueira down from mounting an offense here.
Why?
It turns her body, it's like anything else. Maybe our listeners at home could try it right now on the couch. Turn your head one direction and then imagining walking forward or pushing something or lifting something. No. You always keep your head square. You always keep your chin down. You always keep your face straight at all walks of life. That's not different in a cage fight. When your neck is going one direction, you can't drive your hips and body forcefully in a different direction.
Paramount Network and Chael Sonnen not responsible for any injury suffered on the couch.
Thank you for that. And I will see you in HR.
So what do you tell Nogueira here at the end of round 2?
Look, this is on her. And even if the crowd's thinking, why is Julia not doing more? Julia is dominating positions. She's using strength. She's using energy. You see the sweat rolling down her. She's really working hard here, but she also understands, I'm on the offense.
Nasty elbow thrown by Julia Budd. Nogueira crumbles to the canvas, and Julia Budd now smelling the finish line. Pouring it on.
Oh, and
she's got the arm hooks. The right arm is helpless of Nogueira. She's got her head under the left arm, and Nogueira almost defenseless. Jason Herzog taking a very close look here.
There's a big left knee that sent Nogueira down. I think she went down to try to recover, knew if she got enough points on the ground, she would at least have to deal with the knees, but now she has to deal with this position. Oh, the arm's trapped again. We used to call that position the Salvary because Ivan Salvary made that famous. But it's just devastating. I don't think Julia Budd is going to be able to get a stoppage here, but she can rack up some points.
Talita Nogueira hanging on, and I mean hanging on for dear life here as we reach the end of round 2.
All right, look at this. This is the replay. We're going to see a big knee coming up here in just a minute. Julia Budd distracts her a little bit, uses that underhook to pull Nogueira's arm away, leaving her body wide open. Nogueira crumpled here. I believe she might have gone down, Sean, because under the rule system, it at least protect her from knees.
Look at the eyes of Julia Budd. She is on the hunt right now.
Yeah, I was actually watching her in her corner between rounds. She was very fresh. She was up. She was bouncing. You could see it in her eyes. You could see it in her face. She has plenty of gas left in the tank.
Probably some discussion. I wouldn't be surprised if a judge or 2 or 3 went 10-8 here in round 2.
Certainly
that got close at the end.
Yep, and that knee definitely counts as dropping your opponent.
Some fight-ending moments in those final seconds. The world champion at the top of her game, in the prime of her career right now. She has put on a show. Devastating feeling when everything that has worked for you to get here is no longer working, and here comes the champ again.
And look at that head position. She just drives her into that fence. Nogueira's got multiple battles, but before she can mount them, she has to deal with the first one, which is getting her chin back, getting her head level.
Julia Budd trying that same attack, trying to get that left knee up in there, get it down to the ground. Dominant position this time earlier in the round. Her coach, her husband, Lance Gibson, barking out the instructions. Use that head.
Oh, no, Too strong. Goes down. I think she turned her hips, tried to do like a judo throw. That fence is not going to help her. Julia Budd can engage here. She's choosing to keep distance, but she could also choose to come in and engage.
everything has worked, and she steps through and nails Talita Nogueira.
Pulls the leg one way, throws it straight the other way. Very good technique.
This is checkers and chess right now.
And this is where Nogueira said she wanted to be. She does have a very good guard. She, in fact, will even use the rubber guard at times where she'll use her flexibility and pull her legs up. She's not able to do anything here because Julia won't stop attacking. As long as you can keep your opponent on the defense, they can't mount an offense.
Where has there been a couple of early leg kicks? Has there been any offense since from Talita Nogueira?
Julia can post on the face if she wanted to, start to set up some elbow attacks. Remember the success that Tito Ortiz and Randy Couture both had at pinning somebody into the fence and using those elbows.
Boy, it really looked like Tito Ortiz in a similar spot was going to get Liam McGeary in that world title fight, and then Liam caught him. Got the submission, and Nogueira, a desperation attempt, not even close.
And that was actually a great defense by Julia Budd, as simple as that looked. When she thought her leg was...
Oh, these are big shots.
Very big shots. When she thought her leg was going to be manipulated there, she just stood up and changed the position. Just said, okay, let's start over from scratch. Now she's re-engaged. Okay, big pressure here again. She's got her head exactly where she wants it in terms of using the fence against her. And again, Sean, if Nogueira can get her shoulders or her back to the fence, now the fence is working with her. But when it's your neck and head, you're stuck.
Jason Herzog telling Talita Nogueira, yeah, you got to get up. There is a gleam in the eye and a killer instinct right now in the world champion that we have not seen.
Sean, I'm catching that as well. Her face does look different. Her expression does look different. And that's called a roll, right? When the snowball starts going downhill, it only gains steam.
Strong left, backs up Nogueira. There is a mess and a monster right. Drives into the canvas. Julia Budd.
Come on, Ralph.
Finish line, and it's over. A truly dominant performance from a world champion in her prime. And Julia Budd spits out her mouthpiece and smiles, for there are no worlds left to conquer. Let's check out the replay presented by Blackheart Premium Spice Rum, the bold 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core.
Oh, see, and these kicks were a bit of a surprise. She started to use those kicks. We thought she was going to chop away. She ended up using it as a distraction to use this big, straight leg kick, distraction, boom, to the setup. That put Nogueira down. That was the beginning of the end. Look, I really thought that Nogueira was valiant tonight. I do feel compelled to include that to you. She was plenty tough. She never showed her skills, though. She simply never got going. Not because she came in unprepared, because Julia Budd was a step ahead, because she was relentless, because she was distracting, bothering, annoying, and attacking at all times of this fight.
A symphony of violence conducted perfectly and flawlessly by Julia Budd.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the Bellator cage, referee Jason Herzog steps in, waves off the contest due to unanswered strikes. Official time, 4 minutes, 7 seconds into round number 3. The winner by TKO and still Bellator Women's Featherweight World Champion, Julia the Jewel Budd.
The champ, after another dominant performance, is with jail.
Well, congratulations, Julia Budd. You know, are we neighbors, by the way? I've known your husband for 20 years, but I didn't know that you guys were married. How are you, buddy? Nice to see you. And congratulations. Are you tired yet of hearing, and still at the end of your fights?
Never. I'll never get tired of hearing that.
Did you like my impression of it?
Yes, I loved it.
I got to ask you, so what is next for you? I mean, who is next? Who is left that has the courage to step in here? Have you been called out? Is anybody saying your name? Who are you looking at?
In my division, the one that I'm most excited about is Sinead Kavanaugh. I don't know where she's at or if she's fought or fighting recently, but I'd love to fight her. She's kind of, the next person in my division that I'd like to fight.
Well, I certainly look forward to it. I got to say, when this contest started, it looked like you were feeling her out a little bit. You guys circled, but finally you saw driving her into the fence. That's where your opportunities were. Am I right? Did I see this correctly?
Exactly. I had to stay patient. I got 25 minutes to work, and I knew I was going to finish it by the end of the third round. I was just waiting for my opportunity.
All right, Julie, I trust that, like me, you're a fan first. So give me a prediction. We got Weichel versus Pitbull 24 hours away. Who are you taking?
I think Pitbull's going to keep the title.
You got any final thoughts for us?
Yeah, I'd love to thank my Sunshine Coast family, Port Moody, and everybody that made it here from Toronto and the Sunshine Coast right there, front row. Yeah, so everybody back home, thank you to all my training partners and Bellator for letting me showcase another amazing card.
Well, super impressive. Cannot wait for the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, still champion of the world, Julia Budd.
A Canadian hero and a world champion to be